Thank you.
Previously on Two Up and Overloaded, we successfully landed back onto Java and met up with our good friend Dan.
Hello, brother. Yes, sir.
We were having an incredible day filled with good food and laughter until our Bajaj Pulsar 220 motorcycle began to fall apart beneath us. We had managed to break nearly every spoke on the rear tire, and the bike was no longer safe to ride. After a few failed attempts at finding a mechanic, we came across one with a friendly crew, but they said that they were closing for the day.
It's too late?
The lead mechanic, Jeffrey, was talking to us. I don't know if he was the lead mechanic, but he was the main dude we were talking to. We were very thankful that Dan was there so he can speak a little bit of Indonesian with Jeffrey. But as in every language, like science and engineering and architecture is really hard to discuss in a foreign language,
And bike mechanics?
And bike mechanics,
Yeah.
which is pretty much a combination of engineering and architecture
right.
and science. But the good news was that we didn't have to play like Pictionary or anything because he had spokes. It was quite obvious that my spokes were messed up, and he was able to put two and two together. And after just a little bit of persuasion, he said that he'd be able to do it that day. So we were super, super excited and thankful.
Okay, so the latest update is there was a guy here who works on big tire spokes and rims. As you can see to the side of me, there are lots of other guys who work on rims here, but they are on smaller rims. We need the big bike rim, and that guy left for the day. But they were willing to call him, be like, come back to work. This is an emergency. And so we're just waiting for him now. And they're currently taking the tire off the motorcycle.
We had been so tired because remember, the night before we had spent 24 hours on a ferry coming over from the island of Kalimantan. We hadn't had much sleep. There were cockroaches all over us as we were sleeping, and well, as we were trying to sleep anyway.
Yeah.
So we were exhausted, plus we had just gone through this whole ordeal with the motorcycle, you trying to ride it as the spokes were breaking and the bike was all wobbling, and yeah, we were exhausted.
Yeah, mentally, my brain was almost on just turn off mode.
Yeah, and thankfully Jeffrey was like, yes, I will fix the spokes on your tire.
Yeah.
And so we knew that however long it was going to take, at least something was going to get fixed that day, and we would be able to continue our journey to Dan's village, where we would be staying the night.
It was nice to see that Jeffrey very carefully and thoughtfully took off the rear tire. He took off the tube. He got the actual tire off with tire irons, and he began to chop off all the spokes that were so rusted. It was unbelievable that this was something that we had not caught prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad that he knew what he was doing and it was in good hands.
Harry? Harry. Nice to meet you. Terima kasih.
It was actually really interesting to sit there and watch this whole process. I was also able to get to know Dan a lot better because we had the time to just sit and chat, but also see what Jeffrey, the mechanic, was doing with the spokes. It's such a simple thing, but it had affected the riding of the motorcycle so much. I couldn't believe that it had become such a dangerous situation over just a few of these tiny little metal pieces breaking. But it really had caused the entire bike to wobble in such a way that it's very, very important to make sure each one of those spokes is perfectly aligned and in place.
Absolutely.
Our tire was totally rusted. I'm talking about the rim, the spokes, the little nipples that hold the spokes in. It was all just falling apart anyway. We should have known that its time on this earth was limited. So this is all good stuff that needs to happen, and I'm glad it happened where we were able to find a mechanic, and we also had Dan to help us translate, so great.
He began to put in the new spokes on the central hub, and it's kind of cool that the entire weight of the motorcycle is, you know, balanced on these like 27 to 30 spokes, you know, that all bear the weight individually, and you know, it's able to absorb all the potholes that we hit, and by God, we've hit plenty of potholes.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor for teamwork.
Yes, it's true, absolutely. But every 20 years I suggest replacing them on a Bajaj Pulsar 220, because that is their maximum lifespan.
Yes.
Jeffrey kept on, you know, getting down and got the new spokes on, was putting it through onto the rim, and got the tire back onto Dorco. And he took it down the block and back up. And it was kind of funny to see his reaction, because he's this little Indonesian dude on this big dumb bike, and the front fender is like Pac-Man, just like gobble, gobble, gobble,
Well,
gobble,
that's
gobble.
what we look like.
Yeah, we look like dorks, I know it. But it's fun to see the dorks from, you know, a different angle. But he kind of looks at me, he's like, there's more that's wrong. And I'm like, there's a lot more. The best part of this bike are those new spokes on the back. And he said the front really needed to be changed as well, because they were equally as rusty and worn out and weathered.
First test ride with the new back tire on. Well, not back tire, but back spokes. That looks straight. But the mechanic here says that the front tire also has some issues. It doesn't seem like any of the spokes are broken, but they certainly are rusted, and it's kind of disastrous. So we might have to come back and get it done another day.
And he said, I can't do that one today as well. So, but we weren't in imminent danger of,
Right.
you know, of those blowing on us.
Well, they were pretty rusty too, but we just had to make it to Dan's village that
This
night.
is true.
Right here?
Susana?
Susana? Alright.
Yeah!
And so after, you know, about an hour, maybe just a little bit more than an hour, the rear tire was back on. We had thanked Jeffrey.
Thank you. What is your name? Jeffrey? Nice to meet you, Jeffrey.
The total amount was like, he said like $8. And I gave him 20, because I was like, there's no way. I was like, it was an emergency fix.
Yeah.
You totally helped us out. You had everything on hand. You know, and yeah, we got back on the bike, completely satisfied customers, and were able to follow Dan further down the road with hopefully no more interruptions.
All right.
Hey everyone, nice to have you here. We are Tim
And Marissa No Tear.
I ride in the front.
And I'm in the rear.
We travel the world and we pack too much gear.
Oh, all the places we'll go.
Through rain and through sleet and through mud and through snow.
Oh, all the things we'll see.
We've been to a country or two.
Or 3. Oh, all the fun we've had.
You have you along would make us real glad.
So give us a like and
Hit subscribe to join us along our epic ride.
All right. So Jeffrey was very nice and got us taken care of. He's a really good spokesman. Dad joke.
Dan wanted to pick up some fruits and vegetables from a local market.
Rambutan.
And we love ourselves some fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
Trying to stay healthy here on the road. A bunch of fried rice never really does anything for your gut. And yeah, when we pulled over, they had giant bundles of the freshest rambutan we've ever seen.
Oh my goodness.
Look at this awesome rambutan.
Now, rambutan actually means the hairy thing in Indonesian. And so this is a very apt description of the fruit. They look like little reddish, orangey, pinky balls of
Space monkeys.
of hairiness, yes.
Yes.
But if you crack that open, they are delicious on the inside and absolutely amazing. And we had noticed that tons of trees lining these streets were filled with rambutan. So this was definitely rambutan season.
Absolutely.
Terima kasih.
Very good. They also had other fruits there, including maybe the best mango I've ever had.
What do you think, Marissa?
Of the mango?
Yeah.
And there were cute little girls that helped run the stand, and we introduced ourselves to them, and they introduced themselves to us, and Dan's interacting with the community. This is his community, so it was really good to see all these nice, friendly people. It's just such a loving environment.
Tim and Marisa. Hello.
It was really cute because everyone in that area who knew Dan, he pretty much stood out, right?
Yeah.
As a foreigner with a big beard. They would call him Pak Bule, which meant Sir Foreigner.
Yep. Dan's scooter has this magic compartment that you open up underneath that can hold 57 liters of anything.
I know! I'm like, why are we riding around on this thing when we could have this scooter?
Because I was like, we have no space to put this giant, thing of rambutan. And he's like, oh, I got room.
You got your earplugs in?
Yep. Bye.
So we headed back on the road, and from that point on, it was just stunning.
Oh, look at how beautiful this is. Whoa, this. Whoa, this.
I mean, we used the Land Before Time reference over and over and over again, but man, doesn't get more landish before its time-ish than entering this crater through, a rim, a little lip that we went up and over, and there's a steep incline that Dork goes chugging along with her new back tire.
Welcome to Temple.
That's beautiful. Well, look at the volcano and the peak.
So Dan is married to an Indonesian woman, Umi, and this is her village. It's the village of Tempur, and actually this village is located within a volcano crater.
Active volcano crater.
Well, I looked it up, and apparently it is dormant now, but there is some debate about this. So I'm just going to think it's dormant. And it's not the only volcano in the region. We also passed this marvelous conical pinnacle that was like, what is that?
just the silhouette of it in the distance was like, you know, the Grand Pyramid of Giza. It was
Yes.
super, super awesome. I didn't understand where we were. He was like, oh, yeah, we're in a crater. And I'm like, then why is there another mountain pinnacle volcano thing over there? You know, and he's like, yeah, there was a bunch of active volcanoes within this crater. I'm like, we're in a super volcano.
I think so.
I don't, you know, and it's huge on the map. This is not like some small little thing.
Yeah.
There's multiple villages within this crater volcano. So
Yes. And there's like a river that runs through it. It's absolutely amazing.
yeah.
And along the road, which kind of goes along the river into the valley of the crater, there are all these rice paddies
Yeah.
that are just terraced little steps. And this was the season when the rice was about ready to be harvested. It was really nice to see the patchwork of colors of the rice paddies
Yeah.
and all of the greenery of the surroundings as you wind your way into this valley.
I couldn't get enough of it. Like, we could have lived there. You know, Java is really populated, you know, and there's a lot of hustle and bustle, and the capital of Jakarta is, you know, a mega city. But this little, you know, village of Tempur in this volcanic crater not too far away from Semarang, where we had gotten off of the ferry, was just opposite sides of the world from the rest of Java in my mind. It was so peaceful and stunning. It was very romantic just to be able to wind through those hills. It was kind of drizzling, and the sun is kind of setting, kind of giving the landscape this golden hue. Dan keeps pulling over to point out some of his favorite little attractions as he, you know, enters and exits his little village. And it was a really nice warm feeling, as warm as the sunset golden hue. That same aura spread throughout my body, and it was really, really pretty.
You could just feel the magic of the place as we got closer and closer to the village.
So we finally made it to Dan's village, and we're riding through the streets, and Dan's waving to everybody like the little local celebrity that he is.
Yes.
Oh my God, I could totally live there. You know, it was so wonderful and peaceful. We pull into a parking spot where we can unload the bike and all of the goodness, because he kind of lives up on an overlook. Hello. We get to his front gates, and his beautiful wife Umi is there and greets us. Hello, so nice to meet you. This is so beautiful.
Wow. It's heavenly.
And we are just so excited after such a long day with not a very good night's sleep the night prior, and then some difficulties with Dorco as usual. And now we are at a beautiful location with two wonderful hosts.
Hi, hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It says it right on his shirt.
Oh, yes.
They introduce us to his bird that I named Steven.
There's the bug. Yeah.
Ooh. Dan, I love you to death, but he hadn't named his bird in
Yeah.
years. I said, I need to name the bird. The bird's name is now Steven.
One cricket was harmed in the making of this video.
There you go. Wow. Oh, nice.
Two crickets were harmed in the making of this video.
I was so thankful to finally be able to unload, and my mind was reassured that, you know, everything was going to be just okay. Everything was going to be more than okay.
Yes. Next time. in the village here in Indonesia is amazing. We have a very special episode for you where we do something we've never done before. We deliver a unique gift to a local couple that touched our hearts.
This is gonna make me cry.
Everyone in this part of the world has been so kind and generous to us that we felt the need to give back to the communities that have been so loving to us.
It's amazing. Oh.
So that will be in the next episode. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. Ding ding!
And if you've been enjoying our travels through Southeast Asia, we'd love to have you along for the ride on Patreon, where you can help support us for as little as $1 a month, up to as your heart's content. With being a patron, you get early access to our videos that are ad-free. You get little insight snippets from us traveling around the world. You get postcards from us as, you know, when we find ourselves in a place that has good postal service. We shoot them out. Yeah, it really helps us move forward, get to some of these incredible locations, spend an extra night or two at a hotel to be able to turn this camera on and talk to you from this side of the lens to that side of the lens. And we're really thankful and grateful to everybody who supports us, and we'd love to have you be part of the adventure. And you can check out the link to our Patreon in the comments below, in the link below.
And we'd love to have you along for the ride. We'll be seeing you next time.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Peace. He put on a little rubber strip that would protect the tube from grinding against the sharp points of the spokes.
So is this a tubed tire or tubeless?
It's a tubed tire.
Wow.
Which I was not all that excited for, because I have not ever changed a tube in my entire life. The KTM and the Yamaha Raider that I've owned were both tubeless and much easier to fix on the side of the road. And I don't know what the advantages of having a tube tire is, but
I don't either.
such is life.
I bet somebody out there knows what an advantage to a tube tire is.
Yeah, you can get into those, you know, little tire wars.
Oh yes.
In the comments below.
Definitely
the oil.
tire
Tell us
wars.
what type of oil you use, type of blinker fluid you suggest. I mean, in my personal opinion, because I am less experienced and knowledgeable, I like the easier, dummy way of traveling around the world on tubeless tires.
You have started a war here.
We'll see. We'll see.
The tube people versus the tubeless people.
To be or not to be.
Ooh.
Tube. Dad joke of the episode, folks.